So 3 conspiracy theorists walk into a bar. You're going to tell me that's just a coincidence? Sorry, had to do that one, because we're about to listen to a self-styled journalist, researcher, who peddles in anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, among others. Argues that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent. Look, I'm laughing at the ridiculousness of it, but actually, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and this has massive influence. And many people felt this was a bit of a dark day because these are the kind of things, this kind of lazy thinking and large, wide accusations of the Jews and all kinds of things are actually historically exceptionally dangerous. And I want to show you a brilliant clip of Kozak, who unpacked the just nonsensical thinking and arguments of Ian Carroll. And I apologize for what you're going to have to watch in these clips, because it's quite upsetting to see such ridiculous smears of the Jewish people. But it's important that, given that he had such a big platform on Joe Rogan, that we know how to respond to such accusations. Have a watch.
Not saying that all Jews are in on something. Jeffrey Epstein was the world's most prolific and evil sex trafficker that we know of so far, ever. And he very clearly was a Jewish organization of Jewish people working on behalf of Israel and other groups.
Very clearly.
And so that's a dark stain on Israel and on the Jewish people if you own it.
There you go. And I'm not implicating all Jews. That is a dark stain on the Jewish people if you own it. The way he sneaks in his falsehoods and sophistry and jumping to conclusions and connecting things is much more sneaky than just making one singular false statement or claim. He's like, and these people deeply corrupted are just like there for all time. There for all time. The Jewish faith. He doesn't know what the Jewish faith is or anything much about it. And then Jeffrey Epstein, a stain on the Jewish community. You have to fix that. You have to own it. Other types of conspiratorial conversations, the Clintons, Pizzagate, the corruption of this government or that. Nobody's talking about the Hillary Clinton scandal in the context of Baptists because she's a Baptist. Her nationality, ethnicity, community doesn't come up. But for some reason, when we talk about a bad apple, a bad person like Jeffrey Epstein or Madoff or whoever, there's always this temptation in these conversations with conspiracy to implicate the Jews. And I'm not talking about all of them, but then talking about all of them or talking about something bigger than the individual bad actors and nefarious people involved. It gets so disturbing. It starts to just sow this suspicion in people. And had there never been a Holocaust or pogroms or deep-seated histories of anti-Semitism leading to violence against Jews, you might be able to shrug it off. But you're just like, the antennas go up. The cycle of history of anti-Semitism. Like, do you know what you sound like? It's like literally an echo of history.
Yeah, Ami's got a very good way of explaining things very calmly, but precisely. He's absolutely right. I've noticed that Jew haters do this time and time again, where they'll say, I'm not against all Jews. It's just these bad Jews, or they'll give another name to them. It's the Rothschild Jews, or it's the Epstein Jews, or it's not Jews as a whole, but it's Israel. We see it time and again, and of course, anti-Semitism, as always, can be easily the false charges labeled at Jews can be so easily disproven, as Ami did just there. And by the way, I'm not talking about any specific things that Epstein may have done. I don't know the details of what Epstein's done in his life. But I'm talking about to make accusations about the Israeli state doing all these things and being involved, and the Jewish people owning it and all these kind of stuff. Ridiculous. And if you do the slightest bit of digging into anti-Semitic tropes now or from Hitler or throughout history, you will see that it's nonsensical. But the key point I actually wanted to get across in this video was the deeper question of why. Why does this happen? Why is it when it's Hillary Clinton, they don't talk about the fact she's a Methodist? What's going on? Why is there this obsession and double standard when it comes to the Jews? I'm sure you've noticed that there's a dramatically disproportionate amount of time devoted to talking about Israel in the news and the media in protests. We don't see protests for the far higher death tolls in Sudan, Democratic Republic of Congo, Yemen, Syria. We don't see that. I saw Candace Owens complaining on Piers Morgan, why aren't we talking about all these Christians being killed in Africa and all these other conflicts? And I'm thinking, Candace, you yourself are the one that keeps talking about Israel time and time again. Why is this happening? That's the real question. Why is there this obsession with the Jews? I think it's what's driving so many Jews mad, making them think, what is going on? Well, the answer is because the Jewish people and the world's destiny are deeply intertwined. There is a purpose to this world. The world was created by the God of Israel. And this God has a plan for the world. He wants to come down to earth and dwell in this world with humanity, have an intimate relationship with human beings. And he wants the Jewish people to bring his voice, to bring his message to that world. He gave them that voice, that role at Mount Sinai. And the world has been kicking and screaming along the way, but many of the values actually that it now holds dear were first articulated and brought to this world through the Torah. But there's more to do. And when it comes to anti-Semitism, it's because the world knows deep down that there's something to pay attention to with the Jews. That this is where the center of the world's destiny really lies. Many people don't like what the Jews have to bring to the world or are meant to bring to the world. Others are resentful, jealous, all these things. It's all very childish. But one of the things that's also happening as a result of this is God's destiny is forcing the world to have a magnifying glass on the Jews. Yes, Rabbi Daniel Rowe, I think, pointed out to me recently, I think it was based on a book by Rabbi Raphael Shaw, Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Jew? He said, just imagine, you had an alien coming from outer space, and they're learning about this world. They've never seen the world before, and they want to know all the issues in the world, and they see, okay, well, there's issues with economies and war and climate change and, just all kinds of big issues of the day. Then they go to the United Nations, and what do they see? The obsessional focus being on? The resolutions being made about more than every other country combined? Israel. Critiquing Israel's moral behavior. The world knows deep down that Israel is where their moral lessons and teaching are going to come from. They're going about it in the wrong way. Maybe it's also because Jews aren't being articulating that as clearly as we're meant to them. God forbid this would never be to justify any kinds of anti-Semitism. But there's definitely a sense that people have that the Jews and learning about God and moral accountability and all these things, there's something about all those things that's where it's at. So God effectively is handing Israel and the Jewish people the microphone to the entire world. So the next time you're concerned and worried, God, this obsession with the Jews, it's so scary, it's frightening, it's going to lead to the same repetitions that we've seen in history. Actually, I believe particularly now when the world is so intertwined where we can get messages across so easily, it seems to me like things are coming together now. For the world's attention to be on Israel, and for Israel to finally be able to fully come into their role as God's teachers of the kind of vision and world that he wishes to dwell in. So, I end on a slightly deeper note, but I'm going to try on JTV to go deeper as well, not just to talk about the news, but to give us a deeper understanding so that we can all feel a bit more grounded, all feel we have a bit more direction. I think that's got to be something that we do moving forward, and I think it's really important to do that. And I'd also love to know from you topics that you suggest, topics that you recommend that we cover moving forward, because we're expanding the channel, we're getting more presenters on JTV, and we're going to start doing these sort of mini-series of documentaries. So I'd love to know from you the kind of stuff that you'd love to see moving forward. Thanks so much.
Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.